Hello, beautiful family. Welcome to this episode of Embodied INScension, Part 5, which is about the alchemical inner marriage. So, this video is being shared on my Instagram as well as here on the YouTube channel. So, please bear with me as I'll be sharing on both screens. First and most importantly, thank you so much for all the incredible and amazing messages, both for my birthday as well as the overflowing amount of messages regarding my interview that came out on the other side. Really thankful to all of you. I'm slowly getting back to all the emails and we'll be responding to everyone. I also would like to now go ahead and speak about this part 5 of the embodied INScension journey. The alchemical sacred marriage inside is an incredible awareness when the I am of your presence is allowed within the human experience to experience the direct energy of the sexual energy of the sacred divine feminine and also sacred divine masculine. Right now, what is being taught on earth from the Tantra perspective and all these different perspectives, they're really communicating it from an awareness that is coming from the human lens that is very limited in its perceived reality. What I am going to share with you, it does require your awareness from your greater presence to be engaging at a soul level, because what I'll share at a human conscious level, it will not capture it. So for those of you, when you're ready to receive and you're relaxing in that breath, the breath of the natural organic space, you may have to hear this a few times for it to be totally allowed without resistance. So, the sacred alchemical marriage is a state in which the energies within one self, and it is not the energy that stems from the human self, it is the energy from the source of creation that has sparked into a light spectrum. From that, it has certain qualities and certain sort of splitting of frequency that wants to experience itself before it comes into form. And when the human self allows this space that its existence, its source of creation comes from, come into its awareness from the consciousness of its awareness, it then can possibly give the space in that liberation space that is free from thought form, so that the energy is experienced in its purest form. And when the energy is experienced in its purest form, there is this dance. It is this sacred inner dance of just the energy that begins to go into a movement, and it's so musical in its movement, and it moves it out of this um, limitation that the human construct thinks it is as a sacred energy or as a sexual energy. It brings it to the essence of the living force nature of it that actually does not have power. This is the key part. It's powerless because it already contains the full spectrum of the fueling energy source that already is. And when it begins to interact and maneuver in movement, it begins to harmonize and harness together in this dance of oneness. And this is what I am referring to from the I am awareness consciousness of this inner sacred marriage within. This inner sacred marriage within is first an alchemical experience that when it is alchemized, then it begins to take into form way before it starts to come into this existence of form that we call the human form. So from here, then the sexual energy can be experienced very differently rather than the way it has been implemented, programmed, conditioned, used, and misused from such narrow, limited awareness that doesn't have the breadth or does not have the freedom of its true expression. And of course, many have, it's cute though, many have used it in the best way they can, just for a quick orgasm or just a quick little quick pleasure. And those are all okay. There's no judgment around it. What I'm speaking with for those who are called to their mastery, living in a mastery of life, the number one thing is embodying ascension, embodying the ascension that they've ascended to and begin anchoring it into the human template. So from that vast awareness, the presence within the human form begins to interact with its own energy in the human template. Then the experience of interacting, let's say, with another human that may choose to interact with the bodies interacting with each other, it becomes a very different experience. And so, this fifth part of the series that I've been speaking with in embodying ascension, this becomes very crystal clear because when that I am comes online and the human self steps aside and allows the I am to begin being experienced, one of the things, if you watch my video series, you'll see the other four parts before. When it comes to this one, is now the experience of the energy of this alchemical marriage. So, for example, in my own personal walk in this, every night, my human self wakes up about 2 a.m. and my grand master self, the I am, is introducing more of its energy that's alchemized to my human self to begin experiencing its energy. And there's this beautiful dance of gracious, luminous, velvety, gorgeous, like delicious love of this dance of the marriage inside of me. And that my human self is experiencing. And it just wants to experience more of it. So it becomes very, very sensory, very sensual in my human experience. And this is completely independent, fully independent from another person. So even with my partner Michael, this is completely independent of him. It has actually nothing to do with him. It has to do completely with the way my human self is beginning to experience its inner alchemical marriage from its source of flowing energy from the I am that it had never experienced before. It had experienced the human sexual energy and sensuality, which has been very sweet and beautiful, yet extremely limited, extremely confined, and not as much freedom in it. Even with the orgasms, it's not a, a complete satisfactory um, in the its breath. What I'm speaking with again by far surpasses the human mind understanding, because it can't even capture what the experience of the I am within the human temple is. And I'm going to refer back to those of you that did my 4-4 meditation, the universal meditation, unshackling from the Atlantean matrix, that invisible cap that was removed. For those of you that successfully were able to have this removed, you've been going through some profound life changing, as I have. Your human self is metamorphosized and has come as a butterfly and is experiencing life from a whole different breath and liberation of freedom. It feels so free because it has experienced its true essence of sovereignty outside the finite constructs of limitation. So that's what I wanted to speak about, because within this alchemical marriage, there is this pristine lightness that's so gracious. It is the dance of grace that one gets to experience running through its circuit, literally the circuitry of the electrons are experiencing at that level. And it's so fulfilling inside that it does not need at all a desire or a want from attempting to reach for sexual energy on the outside, or attempt to harness it for power purposes or fueling, because again, what I'm speaking of is completely powerless. It does not need it because it already is all of it. And for those of you that want to, or just joining in, you have no idea what I'm referencing to, please go on my YouTube channel. And even there are some on this Instagram page on my YouTube channel. Look up Embodied INScension, and there are the different series, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and this is part 5. So may you harness this internal, pure divine energy in its own alchemical marriage, so that from here, the experience of the dance of creation becomes available where it is not utilized from a thought form. So hopefully this helps. And I thank you all for joining in, and thank you for being part of this experience of hurting and hearing. And much more is coming up after June in the 8 weeks that I will be leading the mastery workshop around this. It's not really a workshop, it's just an online 8-week series so we can really get deep into this area. And it is a call to those that feel they are called to live as a master of their life. It is definitely, I would say, a much advanced consciousness. It is not for those that are making excuses for themselves and are living in their victim consciousness. It won't work for you. It will work, however, if you have chosen to really live as a master in your life. And that does not mean a perfect life. No, in any way. It means you, from your great I am, are allowing your human self to surrender and for your I am take charge and allow your human self to give it access for its expression. So this is where I'm called to support in the upcoming 8 weeks series plus the retreat. We're putting one together in Mount Shasta and a couple of other places. So stay tuned for more. And thank you for joining. Much love.